Okay. Let me get my epic headphones on. Hello. Hi. Welcome to the first actual podcast episode. I'm really excited for this. This is going to be a little bit different than Devereaux Discusses because, as you can see, I have a guest this time. I'm really looking forward to this, and let me know what you guys think of it. So, for our first episode, we have 4.0 student athlete musician and one of my good friends, Mr. Kane Selapack.
Hi guys.
How you doing?
Doing all right. When people ask like what's new, it's literally nothing every time.
Yeah, that's something I've talked about with a lot of people. Is just every day is repetitive. It feels like they all blur together. There's so much repetition in just our schedules and what we do. Just it's the same thing every day.
Mm-hmm.
So how are you liking online school? Are you liking Zooming and the schedule that we find ourselves in?
I think it's the best we can do. I think to keep everyone safe, it's the best we can do. Obviously, it sucks compared to real school when it comes to actually learning or interacting with people or whatever. But I think it's the best we can do, and I think that's what's important.
Do you think the teachers are doing a good job?
They're doing their best. There's only so much they can do because when you can mute yourself and then turn off the camera, they can't say, "Hey man, please pay attention." They can try, but they can't.
So, are you seeing lots of students actually paying attention?
No.
Yeah,
No.
I agree.
I'm not sometimes.
It feels like it's really hard as teachers, and even when we try to get other students engaged, it's just really hard to actually make something happen because, especially with last year, accountability is so low.
Mm.
Last year when we didn't have to do anything, people feel like
4 people in the Zoom.
Yeah, why would I do
Yeah,
anything?
exactly.
And this year, it counts for a grade, but I have a friend that's not showing up to any Zooms and still doing all their work, and the sad part is you can do that. Most of the work you can do without ever engaging, ever talking to anybody, which really sucks. So you said that you yourself sometimes find it difficult to stay motivated and stay engaged. So how do you? What are some strategies that you can stay focused?
So the main thing for me, this goes for almost anything to stay focused or to get something done. It's you have to make it important. Let's go all the way back to even last year, when we were learning poetry in English. Nowhere in real life, especially for what I'm thinking about doing, to really all right, talk about Shakespeare. No one cares. But you have to make it important, even if it's as simple as I need to learn poetry and be able to interpret it for a grade. Even that much.
So how do you convince students that I guess grades are important? Because I think some people just really don't care.
Yeah, that's the really hard part too, and some really don't care. And when they don't care about their grades, this is the hard part. It comes from there's so many different problems. It could be maybe they don't have a parent or guardian at home to enforce that important or tradition or whatever. They might just not have a direction in life. They might not know what they want to do yet, or maybe they just don't. Maybe it's as simple as they don't want to do it. That's a really hard thing to talk about because there's so much that could cause that lack of motivation.
Yeah, so I agree with that, and especially what you said. I like the Shakespeare. What we were learning about is when you're learning about things like poetry, and people talk about this, especially with math all the time, it's when am I ever going to use the Pythagorean theorem in real life? When am I ever going to use that helium is the lightest element, or all these things that we're just fed? Lots of them aren't important at all, and we really will never use in life. And we see lots of young students recognizing that. And not only are we taught, like you just said, to make it important and to make sure that grades are a high priority, is I feel like some of that's probably a problem with the school system, is we prioritize grades over actually learning content. And I feel like that's a big problem.
I'd have to agree with that because that's my thing because, it's you don't, how do I explain it? It's you don't need to learn the Pythagorean theorem to go to college. You need good grades, a 4.0 to go and get into a good college. So you might not be necessarily worried about the content that you're learning, but just getting the grade and getting out, which is sort of my problem too.
And I feel like that's something that lots of teachers can improve on. We're in my English class, we're writing an essay about some of the best part of our city.
Me too.
And I'm doing an essay on the middle school that I went to, because some of the teachers there had a very big impact, and at least the band teacher there really prioritized learning and success in a community over what grade you got, making sure that you were improving on your instrument, learning new things over whether you're actually getting an A or a B. And I feel like teachers all over the board can work on the grade that it's getting doesn't matter. Are the students learning the content? Do the students care about the content? And that's, like we said, one of the hardest things is to make the students care. But yeah, and I feel like lots of teachers, at least in our community, do a pretty good job of that. But there's obviously, we're all not perfect. We all got things to work on. So let's go back to Zooming. Now, Zoom is a very new thing that we've all had to adapt to. And I want to talk about breakout rooms. Do you like breakout rooms?
No, not at all.
Why not?
It's not the teacher's fault, obviously, because they can't control the students. The students control themselves, but the students are like, all right, no teacher supervision? All right, cool. Camera off, muted, nothing, no interaction, and I try. Every time I at least try. I always have my camera on no matter what. And I'm like, oh, did you guys do the work? Or what did you guys get for this? Just always silence. And
yeah. Every once in a while you'll get lucky and you'll get a breakout room with people that actually care.
Best thing ever. I've never gotten so excited to have two people who've done the work. I've never gotten that excited, ever.
Yeah. One of the breakout rooms that I was in, it was for science class, and we were supposed to be talking about a project, and I'm like, okay, did you guys do this assignment? And they said no, so I'm like, okay, let's take this time to work on it. And we came back to the breakout room, I'm like, oh, what did you work on? And one of the girls was like, oh, I was just on TikTok the whole time. And, I mean, you can't really do things, you can't control other people around you. And if they don't care, there's not a whole lot you can do about that, unfortunately. But I'm also not a big fan of breakout rooms, because it's really hit or miss.
Yeah.
Either people are going to care or people aren't going to care at all.
And, like, it's randomized, too. So, usually, in real school, like, I just have a couple people I talk to in school, and we'd compare answers and whatever, because I know I could count on them to do a good job, and then I'd try and do a good job, and we can compare. But when you're put in a random group with 4 other people, and none of them do their work, you don't... It's also very, like, demotivating, too, because there's no engagement at all.
Yeah, and like we talked about earlier, there's no accountability when the teacher's not there. You don't feel like you have to be doing anything. And even just overall, when you're not in person, when the teacher can't come up to your desk and talk to you, and you don't feel like that you have to do the work.
So many times, the teacher would pop in and be like, hey, did you guys finish the work? And all of a sudden, 2 people would start talking. Like, what happened to this 10 minutes ago, guys? Like,
Yeah.
it's really not it's about, you know, if they have to do it or not
Exactly.
about, you know, if they're actually doing the work, if they're actually learning it.
And one of the things we talked about at the beginning of the year is, like, your first day of school, of any new thing, first year, first class, is you get that opportunity to sit next to people and maybe make a new friend, start a conversation, at least see the people around you, and like you said, you pick out the people in the classroom that you know you can count on, that you know will do their work and that you can get valid conversation with. And sitting next to anybody around you, you at least learn to build a relationship with. And that's just really not happening at all.
No, it doesn't exist.
There's no chances to meet really new people. There's no chances to build a relationship with anybody, because 80% of them are just black screens with white text over them.
Yeah, and it's hard for even people with the cameras, like, because you can't, there's background noise, so you pretty much have to mute it the whole time. It can pretty much only be one person at a time. And then with the way Zoom works, like, when there's multiple sounds going on once, they start mixing all weird.
And I do appreciate, we're not saying that everybody with their camera off is just no, not at all. There are many good students that just don't like being seen and still get all their work done and still contribute. And anybody, no matter your situation, if you are trying, and if you're at least trying to care about the content and trying to learn, then you're doing all you can, and you're doing a great job. And it can be hard for especially more introverted people to have conversations. And weird situations like that, and lots of the time it's just easier to be silent.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a culmination of problems that's making school hard for everybody. So as you know, as some of you may not know, my mom teaches some younger kids at an elementary school, and they have kind of the opposite problem. While in high school we see very little engagement, everybody likes to not be seen and just kind of hide the whole time. At the beginning of the year especially, everybody wanted to just unmute their mics and just scream and yell and do anything that they could. Try to be funny, like dance on top of their couches and bring their pets up and try to do everything. And I find it interesting that the age gap does that. What do you think about that?
That's weird. I think it's just those little kids in general have a lot more energy. What else do I say?
That's fair, because I feel like the people in high school not wanting to engage as a lot because they don't have energy. Lots of people are laying in their beds, just join Zoom, go back to sleep, and they just don't feel like they have to say anything.
I can name a couple people who do that. Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure you and I both like to wake up somewhat early in the morning. But I think there's a lot of people that don't wake up until like 20 minutes before their Zoom.
I can also name a few people who do that. But
what do you think about that?
The reason why I wake up in the morning, besides to get all the work done, is it's sort of like to feel productive, and because I am being productive by putting aside those 2 or 3 hours to work. And then even if I don't have much work, because sometimes I don't, then I'm awake and I can do other things. And it's also just a routine, too. I think it's better to build a routine of waking up at a certain time than, like, waking up at whatever, like 20 minutes before Zoom, doing the Zoom, and then you have that work after school, because I want to do stuff after school.
And it's a lot harder to motivate yourself to do work after school. Once you're finished with Zooms, you're like, I don't have anything for the rest of the day. I can go on TikTok, go play video games, whatever.
Well, and I don't want to do anything after 3 or 4 hours of Zoom. That's stupid.
Exactly. So while some people are thinking, we don't actually have to wake up until then, are you still getting all your work done later in the day? And I think for most people the answer is no. So like you said, I think it's very important to build a routine. To have a schedule where you are allotting yourself time to get work done. And I think it's much easier to do that when you don't think all is free time for the rest of the night. When you know, okay, I have to be ready by then, so now until then I can get work done. I think that's very helpful.
And this sort of goes into being productive, but like having a schedule is very important. You hear that everyone, how to be more productive, how to get more done. It's build a schedule. You get tired of hearing it, but it's like actually the best thing you can do. So like if you like I said, you put aside 2 or 3 hours to finish your work. You have your Zooms. You might work for another hour, but then you put some stuff aside for like exercising or like I do music, and then you get the rest of the time off.
So yeah, I want to build on that. So when you have finished all your work, or I guess a better way to ask this is, we had 6 months of quarantine, where we were just, especially in summer break, I guess, because
just spring.
Yeah.
Just spring.
Where we didn't have Zoom classes, where we were just pretty much trapped inside for months at a time. How did you keep yourself productive then?
I'm not gonna lie to you, I was not. Now I did stuff to keep me human. Like I started playing a lot more tennis. A lot of video games too. I started like pretty much exercising more, and that helps me now. But like it's hard to stay motivated. Like you can't go do anything fun. Like I couldn't, like, my whole soccer season got canceled. I'm like, man, I don't want to play soccer. Like it's hard to. I don't want to go play soccer by myself.
Exactly.
And like so. It's just I played a lot of tennis. I didn't do much with here.
I think that's true for a lot of people. Is quarantine was kind of a mental break. So then I would guess now, when we do have free time, or like after school, or when you want to do something that's not just gaming, or when you want to feel accomplished, or even just on a weekend, what do you most enjoy doing to make you feel accomplished and productive?
Music, definitely.
And you play trombone?
Trombone.
When did you first learn? Or pick up the instrument?
I started in 6th grade because the school we went to, they required us to play an instrument, so I just chose trombone, and it's been a lot of fun.
Do you remember why?
It was easiest, I think. I don't even remember. I just chose
it. Yeah, did we play all of them? Did we get a chance to play any instrument you wanted?
Well, I remember he gave me the saxophone, the trumpet, and trombone. I didn't even try the euphonium. I just went straight to trombone.
And you thought trombone was the easiest to make a sound on?
This is sort of off topic. I wanted to play the bari sax first because my brother played the alto sax, and he's like, "Oh, you want to play the bari sax?" So what he did is just pulled the saxophone down. He's like, "This is how heavy it is. You sure want to do it?" I'm like, "Not anymore. Thank you."
So he just tried to. Okay, I guess that
I think
makes sense.
when he had too many saxophones, and I think that's why he did that and put me in trombone. And I've had a lot of fun since.
Do you think your drive for music came from your older brother and seeing what he accomplished at all?
Yeah, I'd say so. And that's where a lot of wanting to, like, for me, a lot of my drive to do stuff is people being better than me, as, like,
and
weird as that
I think that
sounds.
can be true
No,
for
that's-
anybody in any subject. Is
Yeah.
seeing somebody that has accomplished things that you want to accomplish, you can take that and use that. Just like I was talking about the other day, is you can take that and use that as fuel to try to get there. Also, yeah, my both of my older brothers also played music, and going into middle school, I didn't want to play music at all. I didn't even want to go to that school. I was like, I don't want to play an instrument. That seems too challenging. And now I'm in a spot where I love playing music, a bunch of different instruments, and I think it's very fun. To people that don't play an instrument, what do you think is the best part, or some of the best parts of having an instrument and being able to play it?
Well, this also sort of goes back to Zoom and how unfortunate it is. It's like the community built around it, and like it's sort of like video games even. Like you build a community with people who have the same interests as you, and I made some good friends with him. Like one of my best friends, he sat right next to me all 3 years, and
Also plays trombone.
Yeah, he also plays trombone. Yeah, like I don't think we would have ever become as good of friends if we didn't sit next to each other and we shared the same interests and we had something to talk about.
Yeah, I would agree with that 100%. Is when you play an instrument, not only does it give you a valve to be creative and a time, a place, and a medium to express yourself with.
Fun.
It is fun, and it puts you in a community. Whether you're in a small band or a big band, or even if you're just getting together with your friends, it's very enjoyable, and it's a great way to just vibe, to just groove together, I guess. I would recommend, especially in your older retirement years, but the earlier you start, the better. Because I don't think everybody who plays an instrument, we're probably going to play it for the rest of our lives. Yeah. Even if we like ignore it for a few years, we'll always have that skill set, and I think that's really cool.
Well, and and you're talking about for older people, yeah, it's just something you can just sink hours into, and and for me, it's so awesome to see improvement. Like that's also part of my drive, like this, like to see the difference that you're getting better. I think that's one of the really good things about music.
And I once again, I think that's true in a lot of things. And like we were talking about towards the beginning, is you have to make something important to yourself. You have to make it matter. And improvement is an amazing way to do that. Whether it is be math, seeing that you've learned something or seeing that you've improved in any way really helps you keep going.
And it's also like this isn't really important, but it also makes you like a more interesting person, a more actual smarter person.
Sure.
Yeah, just learning skills. It might even be important, like a Rubik's Cube. Like when you're not going to be like held hostage, like solve this Rubik's Cube, we're going to get executed. It's like, no, it's just something I can pass time. It's something I can do to think differently. And I think that's why those things are still a really good thing to do, and I even consider them.
So that's an interesting comparison with the Rubik's Cube. Is you're never going to have to do that in your life, just how we were talking about earlier with like the Pythagorean theorem. And except playing an instrument, I think we both give that a lot more value than learning all these random facts about volcanoes and elements and random stuff like that. So what about playing an instrument is more interesting than knowing a bunch of random history facts or whatever?
I guess it really isn't, honestly. It's what we're into.
I think I would disagree with that. I'm much more interested in a person that plays an instrument than a person that can name generals in the Civil War.
Yeah, well, that's different. Like, well, I guess you could say everyone listens to music. You could get away with that.
I wonder if there's just a... I feel like maybe because music is something that you can make on your own and something that you can actually, like, play and produce rather than just knowledge.
You can get creative with it, too. Yeah. There's always new music.
Because you see plenty of Tinder profiles of people that can play guitar, but not a whole lot of Tinder profiles of people that are like...
piccolo, yeah.
Well, that's not exactly what I was gonna say, but people that know the Pythagorean theorem and put that in their bio. And okay, play piccolo. Yeah. So how come some instruments are more attractive than other instruments?
Well, piccolo, I don't really know. I mean, I guess it's just like, let's say rock is a pretty famous genre.
I guess more popular
that's
genres.
That's why people would like guitar more. Now,
I know that we have a friend that thankfully doesn't do this anymore, but went into like PS4 party chats and played guitar.
Yeah.
Tried to pick up all the gamer girls.
No, I guess that's what he did to pass the time.
Did it work? I feel like it worked. I think it worked.
Sorta. We'd have to ask, but
We'll have him on the show sometime.
that'd be good.
So yeah, I would encourage you at some point in your life even to pick up an instrument. Now, you're probably not going to start with like a wind instrument. Something like a keyboard or a guitar is much easier to get access to, but it's always really fun. A way to pass the time that makes you feel productive. I think it's really great. So for people that do play music, what do you practice? What do you find things to play, I guess?
I think this could go into general life too. I have to set a goal of something, like I want to be able to play this solo, like even though there's no solo on some, I'm learning a 9-page piece. And that's very important. I got to play a whole different way.
Where did you find that?
My music teacher.
Are you taking private lessons right now?
Yeah, I started to again.
So
like
I assume that gives you lots of options of what you can play and things like that.
And that, like, you pick something you want to play, you want to do, you want to perform, and you have to start working on it to get better at it. That's what I practice usually. And then obviously there's like, oh, you just want to do something for fun. Cool, I'll learn the Animal Crossing theme or something.
Exactly.
Just for fun. That's the cool part about music. Like, it's something you can get really good at and you can also have fun with.
And yeah. Would you consider pursuing music as a career?
No.
Not at all?
No. And that's like, that's sort of the weird thing that I hear a lot. It's like, why do you play a lot of music if it's like,
if you're not
a career?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, but I could ask that question about anything. Why do we learn about the Pythagorean theorem if I'm not going to go pursue math or science or whatever? It's like, it's just it's something to do to make you smarter and make you a more interesting person, and it's fun. Like, people.
I think that's a great distinction. Is you just compared the two questions. Why do you play trombone? Why do you learn the Pythagorean theorem? Makes you a more interesting person, and then it's fun. I think that's the main difference. Is playing trombone, fun. Learning the Pythagorean theorem, for some, fun. But for most people, I guess not as much. So I think that was great to talk about some of our music experience. Let's move on to a little bit different of a topic. Before I tell you, because this is a question that I was posed a few months ago, and I thought it was very interesting. And before I tell you what I answered, I want to hear what your answer is. What do you think is the biggest problem facing our youth, facing us kids in our generation?
So obviously I'm no expert, and I really have no idea because I wasn't alive for other generations. I don't know what it was like, but I guess from observations it would be like a lack of motivation and maybe no direction. I think like this could also be imposed by the adults for our generation. It's like accepting mediocrity.
I think that's a great answer, and I did say something very similar. Is we see lots of people getting rewarded for doing things that they should do anyway, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And lots of people that aren't doing those things at all and being okay with it. Like you're talking about with the schools, is people just don't care. And how I was going to rephrase that question, but we kind of already answered it, is there anything we're worried about as we see our classmates, our peers that we see not engaging, moving into the workforce? Because we're going to be the next leaders of this country. We're going to be the next people that are making food and selling products and things. And obviously we were raised with much different values than our parents were raised with, especially with our exposure to social media and technology and everything. So yeah, I said a similar answer about lack of motivation, is people not caring. And we did touch on that quite a bit, but I'm worried about that. I'm worried that if people feel like they can go through school without getting any real work done, then in a job, how are those people going to feel like they need work?
I never even started thinking about that. Like, wow, we're the next big dogs.
Exactly.
The
It's
people
kind
are
of
going to be
scary.
looking up at us. Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Our generation's getting older is unfortunate. So, is that unfortunate just because do you feel like our generation's going to do a good job or not?
No, I don't think we're doomed. I think we'll be fine. They all probably thought the same thing back then. I don't really know. But like, it's really up to, like, I guess the parents and the kids themselves to make a change, choose a direction to go. Like, I don't really know what I want to do, but at least I know what I can do. Like, what first steps I can take to put me in the right direction.
To give yourself a good opportunity.
So, like, do good in school. Like, you know, wherever. Like, I don't really know what I want to do yet, but I know if you do good in school, that is going to give you a better advantage to get into the school you want for college or whatever.
You right now being a 4.0 soccer player, tennis player, are you doing any other sports?
Not anymore.
Soccer player, tennis player, amazing trombone player, doing great, involving yourself in clubs and activities, student leadership. You can choose really any path you want to take, and I think that's a great thing that unfortunately not everybody has given themselves the opportunity to do, and some people aren't able to just because they weren't raised in families that were supporting of what they want to do, and that's a really tough topic. But like you said earlier, is if people, well, like the question I asked, if people don't do their work in school, then how are they going to do their work in job? And we were talking about you need to find yourself a reason to care, and it's hard to make that reason grades, but I think it's good to make that reason money. I feel like if people are working jobs and they know that they need money and that they're getting money, and money's obviously a great thing to have, I feel like that might add some motivation. So I don't think we're doomed. I feel like...
Yeah, I don't think we're doomed either.
When these people, even if it is just a McDonald's job, they know that, okay, maybe I didn't show up to my Zooms, maybe I didn't do all my work, and maybe I didn't get good grades, but now here I am. I'm no longer living, or maybe I am living in my parents' basement, and I need this money. You don't necessarily, well, you do need good grades, and we need to teach people that, but at a point where they realize I need to be successful here, then I think they'll be more motivated. I think that should help.
Now, I think with people not caring now, especially in their freshman and sophomore years, it's like maybe they haven't grown up, they just haven't, like, chosen to care yet, because I can think of a couple people who, like, by their junior and senior year, they started caring more. Maybe because they're getting closer, they started growing up and like, man, next couple of years, I got to go to college or I got to like go to trade school or whatever. I got to go pick a career.
People shaping up towards the end because they were starting to realize it's important. Do you think those people just didn't realize it was important in middle school and freshman year, or do you think they just didn't care?
That's a hard one. Maybe they just didn't realize. That's a really hard one to answer. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that either.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Another thing you said is, like, some people are starting to shape up junior and senior year. I think it's really cool to see that happen with athletes. Is you have a lot of athletes that maybe aren't the most academic, but you can see, I can think of a few examples of people that to get into a good college or to even start to play for their team, they realized, oh crap, I have an F. I'm not going to be able to play in this next sports game. I'm not going to be able to play football, play baseball, whatever, because I think coaches do a great job with that. They say student comes first, athletes come second. If you're failing a class, then you're not going to get a play. And that does a great job of influencing athletes to work harder and gives them a reason to care. Mm-hmm. Any other thoughts on this topic? I know I kind of just sprung it on you.
Any other thoughts? No, I wouldn't snap.
Yeah. Okay. So I wanna end with something that neither of us have any expertise on, just for fun. I thought it would be a very interesting topic to talk about, and it's always cool to look into the future. So I want to talk about the future of technology, and I got a few questions. Do you think that it's possible or likely that an AI could ever, I guess, robots trying to take over, or AIs trying to kill humans or anything?
No, just off switch. That's it.
Just pour kidding. Water on them or something.
No, but seriously though, no, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I think technology and artificial intelligence is definitely the future because it's already starting to become that with like our little vacuum, the Roombas, like they're like scanning rooms and stuff. Like it's all just a bunch of code and it's like adapting.
Are you more scared of Roombas than Alexas?
Ooh, that's a good question. No, Roombas because they can move around. That's
well, Alexas probably will move around in the future.
Well, until then, I'm still more scared of Roombas because they have wheels. Alexas don't have wheels yet.
So AIs, obviously, I mean, I don't know much about AIs, and I assume you don't know a whole lot either, but their goal is to be able to learn on their own. So be able to learn things without it being encoded into them. And what we've seen in lots of these fictional novels is AIs learning that humans are a problem. And learning that humans are doing bad things to the Earth. We're adding carbon, we're taking away all the gases, and that the Earth would be a better place if all just humans were dead. Which, from a artificial intelligence point, I guess you could see how one might program to get there. So do you think there might be a point where, like, a Tesla, or where there's an artificial intelligence vehicle that'd be like, the world would be a better place if I turned this car off a cliff right now? You're not worried about that happening at all?
Not really, no. Well, like, because
I'm not talking about next 20 years. I'm talking about next 200 years.
No, I know, but, like, let's just take the Tesla in general. Like, there might be, like, war robots or, like, carbon machine, but it's like, with the Tesla, that is programmed just to drive on the roads. It's not
now.
Yeah.
In 2020, yeah.
20. Are you gonna buy a Roomba?
Are you saying they're never gonna put an Alexa into a car? It's probably already happened, where you just have a car that you can talk to. Hey, take me to wherever. That already exists, does it not?
So you think it's just gonna be like, hey, take me over to Oregon? It's gonna be like, no, you're a disease to this earth.
No. It's gonna be like, okay, I'm taking you to Oregon, and then drive you off the cliff. Okay, I don't think this is gonna happen anytime soon. This is not like a real worry. I just think it's fun to talk about because I feel like, what was it? I forget what movie. There was a movie where this was basically the plot. I think it might have been one of the newer Tron movies where there was like an intelligence that was trying to kill a bunch of people. I don't know. I'm probably totally wrong. But I don't know. Do you think humans are negatively... Okay, this is kind of a totally different off the topic question, but are humans negatively or positively impacting the Earth?
Well, I guess both, but the obvious answer would be negatively with, all our machines and carbon and putting animals to extinction, and like even as Earth, like all the way back as like when the Europeans came over to America and they brought all the rats and goats that ate all the natural resources. That's why we have to farm now. That's like
if an AI answers this question, be like, okay, we got a bunch of humans killing a bunch of other animals, making the Earth really polluted and dumping garbage into the oceans and adding carbon to the atmosphere. I can just program myself to look really nice and smart in all these cars and just fix a lot of that problem. Go to all the CEOs of the carbon companies, and I don't know. I just think it was a very interesting topic. You're not worried about that at all.
I'm not worried about. There's
any chance of that.
There are machines being programmed in the ocean that are cleaning up floating plastic. That's cool, but they're not going to be like, all right, done cleaning up the plastic, time to clean up the humans. I don't think that's going to happen in 200 years.
Why not?
Because they're doing their own job, and I don't think they'll grow enough and then realize this guy's a problem. I just don't think that'll happen.
Have you recently, in the last 2 years, watched G-Force?
No.
I think G-Force 2.
Isn't that for 6-year-olds?
No. Well, okay. I think it was
the
G-Force.
Hamster movie,
right?
right?
Yeah, the hamster movie. And I think G-Force 2, I could be wrong, that there was an evil robot that got into a bunch of blenders and kitchenware and stuff to chase the hamsters around.
Yeah, okay, I remember this.
You do! Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think their goal was to either eliminate the hamsters or eliminate humans. It was one or the other because it identified them as a problem. And I feel like if we get to the point, okay, different question. Do you think we'll get to a point where AI will make its own machines? Where it's smart enough to be like, okay, now I can on my own design a blender. I can on my own design a vacuum without any human interference.
I guess so eventually, because we never know.
I totally think so.
Yeah, probably, because we don't ever know what can happen with machines. Because I'm saying, it's already happening where AI and just robots in general are going to become the future. I guess you could compare factories. That's already machines making their own products. Where I don't see why you couldn't compact.
What about? Okay, so cashiers, we've already seen factory line workers. Obviously, within the next 100 years. Many jobs are going to be replaced with robots.
Absolutely.
You can agree with this.
Yeah.
Because lots of the jobs are just repetitive, doing the exact same thing, requires no human thought. You can program a robot to do this. And we're going to see a lot of jobs being lost to technology. Do you think we could get to a point where we could start having companies being run by robots, or run by AI, that are able to actively come up with new ideas and better designs, rather than just doing repetitive tasks?
That's such a weird question. I couldn't imagine, like, going for a job interview and then the CEO is just a robot. Like, do you think... No,
why would you go to a job interview that company's entirely run by robots? They don't need humans.
You're right, because it's just robots.
I feel like that's a plausible future.
I don't think it'll be... Okay. With that, I don't think it would be owned by robots. It might be just run entirely by robots and owned by humans.
Probably because a human would never willingly give up the power to a robot. I don't think it couldn't be run by robots. Well, I think humans would say, no, that's dangerous.
And I want money.
Exactly.
Like, the robots are going to be like, okay, we got the money, we're just going to reinvest it. And then the person's going to be like, okay, we got money, we're going to invest it, and I'm going to buy a mansion.
Exactly. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, yeah. Okay. So another interesting thing is at what jobs can be replaced and what jobs can't be replaced. So we can agree with, like, cashier. I feel like that could be replaced by a robot.
Any like assistants, because like any sort of assistant in like any supermarket, pretty much, like, because like even as simple as like a touchscreen map, like let's say at a mall or something, like, all right, where am I at? Just walk up to one of these things. You are here. Where you want to go is around the corner.
I think malls could entirely be run by robots.
Well, yeah, because it's just...
Even, like, janitorial, cleaning up floors and stuff. I think that could be...
Yeah, it's already happening. Yeah. Roombas. I love Roombas. I'm going to get one when I grow up.
Do you have a Roomba?
No, I wish I did, though.
Would you name it?
I don't have a name yet.
But would you?
I would name it. Okay. I'd have to give it a good name. I'd have to think about it.
So, what about teachers? Do you think teachers could ever be replaced by robots?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I feel like that would be one of the last jobs to go.
Well, I don't think, because like when you're a teacher, you have to adapt to the environment with how they respond to you, like how they respond to questions.
Interesting.
I think that's the
that reminds me. This is kind of off another random tangent, but stand-up comedy couldn't ever be replaced by robots, because that's a big job where you have to read the room, read the environment, and then react off that. Teaching's the same thing. You have to answer questions. You can't just spew a bunch of information. You have to respond to the environment around you. So I think AIs could learn to respond, though. Siri can already answer questions.
Well, and they're have you seen those trippy videos of like the robots having a conversation with patients in the hospital? That's trippy.
Oh, I could be thinking of something different, but the robotic arm that just pets you and says your family loves you.
No, that's
okay. I'm sorry, I'm thinking of something else. What are you talking about?
It's literally just human robot. They put them in a room with a patient. And the patient's having a conversation with it. It's like very basic.
I've never seen anything like that.
You haven't seen that, dude? Look it up.
Have you seen what I'm talking about? They had like this little robotic arm for like grandparents in the hospital, where like their family couldn't visit them or something, and it just like, I don't know. It doesn't pet them. I feel like it did something. Maybe that was just for animals. I don't know. Maybe it was even satire. It might have been from The Simpsons or something. I just have a vague memory of this. And it would be like, it's all right. Everything's going to be okay. I thought that was very interesting. Anyways. Okay. A little bit more on technology, but more spewing away from AI. Have you read or watched Ready Player One?
No.
You haven't?
No, I'm not.
Do you know the general concept?
Yes.
Which is?
Gamer life. This guy goes to the Oasis or whatever, and it's a bunch of video game characters.
So, do you think something like that could be plausible in the future? It's just where we all jump into our VR headsets and get onto this big world that we can just do whatever we want and be whatever we want.
I mean, that sort of happens already, like with certain games. It would be cool. It doesn't seem very rational, but it'd be cool if you could like do school on it. It would be cool.
And they do in Ready Player One. That's how they attend school.
Yeah. But that would be like it would not make sense, because then everyone would have to buy a VR headset and have to like.
Well, what if you're in the spot where you already have 90% of the population having this?
It sucks for the kids who don't have VR. Let's go to VR school. That's cool.
Interesting. So, I guess an important part. I guess I assumed you had seen this movie, and this is wrong. But one of the reasons that almost the entire population would jump on is just because that the world was so bad. Like, you wouldn't enjoy living in the world. It was just ruinous, cities that were broken, everybody hated each other, there were fires everywhere. Everything was just bad, so, like, why wouldn't you go into this second life? And I feel like that's something that I'm not as scared of. No, I feel like people will always love to go into these fantasy worlds where they can do whatever they want, but its main reason won't necessarily to escape the real world. I feel like and especially it's not going to be that recent or that soon, I guess. I don't know. Are you worried of video games and technology getting to a point where it's just so much clearly better than real life that people just avoid real life?
No. I mean, soon enough they'll get more realistic, because usually, like, I don't look at Counter-Strike and be like, man, I wish I was there. And then, like, there's, like, VR chat, which is the
But you
main
do
chat.
have people today that play 12 hours of Counter-Strike a day, or play 12 hours of these other video games because they're like, I'm having much more fun in this fake screen than I am in the life around me.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like, like you said, technology is going to get much more advanced. These video games are going to become much more like real life and much more fun. Why? What reason do people have to stay in the real world?
Well, I guess if you, like, even if it's simple as, like, you have a job, or, you know, it's still real life. This game isn't your life. You have to go out of that to go, like, eat. You have to go, like, pay for that, fund that somehow.
I guess that's fair. Is there are real world consequences that you need to be able to be there in the first place.
And then robot interaction, like, let's just say in your game, robot interaction will never, or even it's like robot human interaction, like just other people online, will never, I don't think it'll ever be the same as in, like, real life interaction.
Why not? If we were both wearing VR headsets right now, sitting at this table having the same discussion, except you were at your house and I was at my house, what would be the difference?
It's as simple as it's, like, not real life. I guess when you
just the inner knowledge that it's not real. I guess that's fair.
It doesn't feel genuine. Like from, like, during quarantine, like, I was on Discord with my friends every night playing video games. Like, even though
it's nowhere near the same.
Even
though
they're my best friends, I have a great time with them. And there's, like, no way I'd rather spend my time, because I still go on each night. Today, it never felt the same as going, like, to play basketball.
So what if we get to a point where that's all that kids know? So we, luckily, are still very young in the Earth's future, and we haven't interacted with other humans. Woo. But what if we get to a point where kids just only right off the bat, since they're born, they're put into this VR world, and they don't know what real human interaction is like? That gets pretty close. That VR's, if it's simulating all of your body movements, and you're wearing those suits, and you can see other people and talk to other people, if that's all they know, I don't know.
Then they have no other reason to go in real life. I guess if that's the thing, if you're getting it.
I think, luckily, that humans are relatively good intentioned, and that some smart enough to not hand out power and make real life as horrible as it would be in these fictional novels. I think I'm also not worried about any of this happening in our lifetime. I always just think it's fun to think about. Well, it was a pleasure having you on.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I like it.
I think it went pretty well. Hopefully I'll do a lot more of these. Reach out to me on Instagram or anything if you maybe want to be on one of them.
Here, put me back on the show. Like, that's a demand, not
okay. We might have a few more guests between them.
Well, that's fine, but it's just, like, you get the point.
Yeah, sweet. I had a great time. If you have any questions for Kane, where can they find you?
You find me on Instagram, Can_Selapack, but with the C. I'll let you figure that out yourself.
If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment. Do you want to tell them to subscribe?
Subscribe if you want. If you enjoyed this, put it in the comments. Or if you didn't.
What if they didn't like it?
Still put it in the comment section. Just be honest. I think that's the best way to improve.
Yeah, if you didn't like something, just let us know what you didn't. And even if they didn't, I did. I liked this conversation.
I had fun. I don't care.
I thought it was really great. It's probably random. We kind of jumped over, but I think that was more my fault than your fault. But it was fun.
Well, and it's just the way we talk. It's just we just talk over each other. So that might be hard to hear. We don't know. I'm not gonna listen.
No, I can hear everything, and it sounds. You're not gonna listen?
No, I'm not gonna listen.
Ah, no.
I don't like my voice. Are you kidding me?
No, it's okay. It sounds fine.
You can listen to it.
I'm definitely going to. Yeah. Thanks for watching. How long? Oh, only 44 minutes. That's not too bad. Okay. Peace out. Let us know what you thought.